Would you risk your life for your pet, or could they end up putting your life in danger? While having a pet can bring immense joy, there are moments when even the most affectionate animals can turn deadly. Today, we'll delve into chilling stories where pets became a threat to their own owners. From the dangerous mamba to the risks of petting a python, here are some of the most unbelievable cases of animals attacking their owners right in front of everyone. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now, let's get started. Number 1. The grizzly bear attack on Timothy Treadwell. Timothy Treadwell, a passionate bear enthusiast, was known for his controversial practice of living among grizzly bears in Katmai National Park. In 2003, Treadwell and his girlfriend went camping to observe these magnificent creatures up close. Their journey took a tragic turn when one of the bears attacked them, possibly while Treadwell was setting up a camera. The couple's absence was noticed by Willie Fulton, an air taxi pilot who had arranged their transport. Worried, Fulton visited their campsite and found it abandoned, with signs of a bear attack. Authorities were called and eventually they discovered the remains of Treadwell and his girlfriend after having to tranquilize the bears in order to conduct the search. The horrific event was partially captured on video, which later became infamous for its disturbing content. The footage showed the final moments of Treadwell and his girlfriend, but due to its graphic nature, only a few people dared to listen to it. Number 2. The fatal consequences of keeping a bear. Kellyanne Walls and her husband Michael were known for their love of animals, which led them to adopt a black bear as a pet. Although the bear was kept in a cage, the Walls' decision to keep such a dangerous animal had severe consequences. One day, while Kelly was inside the cage cleaning and feeding the bear, it suddenly attacked her. The bear viciously clawed at her, and the attack was witnessed by neighbors and children, who immediately sought help. Unfortunately, Kelly's injuries were too severe, and she passed away before any assistance could arrive. The incident left her family and friends devastated. The grieving community highlighted the risks associated with owning a wild and potentially dangerous animal. Number 3. The fatal bond between Maurice and Humphrey. Maurice Els, a retired Army major and farmer, formed an unusual bond with a baby hippopotamus named Humphrey. Despite numerous warnings about the dangers of keeping a hippopotamus as a pet, Els was convinced of the special connection he shared with Humphrey. The hippopotamus was raised on Els' vast farm, where the two often played together and even swam in a local river. However, Humphrey's more aggressive instincts eventually emerged. During one of these interactions, Els' nephew, Johann, was attacked by the hippopotamus, but Els downplayed the incident, insisting it was an isolated event. Sadly, Els' optimism proved fatal. In November 2011, Els went to check on Humphrey and never returned. His family, concerned, searched the area and found Els' body floating in the river. An investigation revealed that Humphrey had attacked Els, dragging him into the water and causing fatal bites. Though Humphrey did not consume Els, the severe injuries led to his death. Number 4. The tragic attack of Travis the chimpanzee. Travis, a chimpanzee adopted as a young baby by Sandra and Jerome Harold, was given a loving home where he received much care and attention, particularly from Sandra after Jerome's passing. Despite being a beloved member of the Harold family, Travis's unpredictable behavior led to several escapes from his enclosure, causing anxiety within the community. However, Sandra chose not to return Travis to the wild or make the necessary adjustments in his care, believing she could manage his quirks. The situation took a dark turn when, one day, Travis escaped again after being given medication and Xanax for his Lyme disease. Sandra called her close friend, Charla Nash, for help in luring Travis back inside. Tragically, when Charla attempted to use Travis's favorite toy to attract him, the chimpanzee became agitated and launched a violent attack. Travis bit Charla's hands and inflicted severe scratches across her body. Sandra tried to intervene with a knife, but this only escalated Travis's aggression. In a panic, Sandra fled to the car and called 911. The The paramedics initially doubted the distressing report, but upon arriving, they were met with a horrific scene. There was no choice but to shoot Travis to end the attack. Charla Nash was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent emergency surgery and eventually required a face transplant. Although Charla survived, the traumatic incident left her deeply scarred, and she began advocating for stricter laws on the ownership of exotic animals. Number 5. The terrifying encounter with the black widow spider. If you thought the previous stories were disturbing, Mark Vogel's experience will truly send chills down your spine. Vogel, a 30-year-old man from Germany, had a fascination with insects and arachnids, amassing a collection of over 200 creatures, including several venomous spiders, among them the notorious black widow, known for its potent venom. One fateful day, Vogel was bitten by one of these dangerous spiders. Living alone and unable to seek help, he succumbed to the effects of the venom. It wasn't until months later, when neighbors grew concerned about his disappearance, that the police discovered his apartment. The officers were met with a horrifying scene. Mark Vogel's body was covered by his own pets, who had fed on him in the absence of other food sources. The discovery was so disturbing that it took hours for the police and animal services to clean up the apartment. The surviving spiders and other insects were relocated to a conservation area, and Mark Vogel was finally laid to rest. Number 6. The tragic fate of Harry and Sally. The story of Harry and Sally, two beloved pugs from Omaha, serves as a somber reminder of the bond between pets and their owners. After the sudden death of their owner, who had no friends or family, the two dogs were left alone at home with no one to care for them. Harry and Sally faced a heartbreaking struggle for survival. Initially, the dogs tried to survive without food, but as days turned into weeks, hunger became unbearable. In a desperate and tragic twist, Harry and Sally began consuming the body of their deceased owner. It wasn't until neighbors noticed they hadn't seen the owner for some time that the authorities were alerted. When the police arrived, they found the deceased owner and took Harry and Sally into custody. The pugs were eventually transferred to a shelter run by the Nebraska Humane Society. Despite the horrific circumstances they had endured, Harry and Sally were adopted by a loving couple from Indiana, offering them a new, caring home. This story highlights the depth of loyalty animals possess and the devastating consequences of neglect. Number 7. The fatal fury of Pitbull Scarface. Bulls often face misconceptions about their temperament, but the case of Scarface took things to an extreme. Scarface was a rescued dog adopted by Brenda and Ishmael Guerrero, who were determined to rehabilitate him despite his troubled past. Unfortunately, their efforts to help him heal led to a tragic outcome. One day, while Mrs. Guerrero tried to put a sweater on Scarface, the dog suddenly attacked her. Her husband rushed to help, but Scarface turned on him as well. Their son, desperate to protect his parents, tried to intervene with a knife, but even that wasn't enough to subdue the aggressive dog. Terrified neighbors and the Guerreros themselves called 911. The response team struggled to control Scarface. They initially used a taser, but the dog's aggression only increased. They were forced to use tranquilizers to subdue him safely. Despite these efforts, Scarface was ultimately euthanized to prevent further harm. Mrs. Guerrero was hospitalized and required weeks of treatment for her injuries. Number 8. The hidden tiger of Harlem. In a shocking twist, Antoine Yates demonstrated how dangerous it can be to own exotic animals. Yates, an avid admirer of big cats, secretly kept a Siberian Bengal tiger named Ming in his apartment in Harlem. His fascination with these majestic creatures led him to house Ming in a multi-story building, a decision fraught with danger. Authorities initially had no idea about Ming until Yates sought medical attention at an emergency room. He arrived with severe lacerations on his arm, claiming they were caused by a pit bull. However, the nature and severity of the injuries suggested they had been inflicted by a much larger animal. It soon became clear that Ming had attacked Yates after he attempted to intervene in a dispute between the tiger and another pet. A month later, an anonymous tip to the NYPD reported a wild animal causing disturbances, prompting the police to investigate Yates' apartment. When they arrived, they found Ming, who was agitated and growling. Removing a tiger from a confined apartment was no easy task. The officers had to use tranquilizers to subdue Ming, a process that was both complex and risky. Yates, unfazed by the danger, insisted that Ming was only acting out of fear and that he would keep him again if given the chance. Despite his claims, authorities seized Ming and transported him to a sanctuary in Ohio, where he spent his final days in a more suitable environment, eventually passing away peacefully. Number 9. The catastrophic incident with the cat. Sometimes the most unexpected situations arise when pets are pushed to their limits. This was the case for Janet Vai, a woman who found comfort in the company of her many cats and dogs after her husband passed away a year earlier. With no children to care for, Janet's life revolved around her animals, who were her main companions. Janet's reclusive nature meant that she had little contact with her neighbors. As the weeks passed without any sign of Janet, a pile of accumulated mail caught the attention of concerned residents. Realizing she hadn't been seen for several days, they decided to call authorities for a wellness check. The police faced great difficulty in entering Janet's home due to the tall vegetation and clutter. Eventually, an officer had to climb a ladder to access a window and enter the house. What they discovered inside was a tragic and disturbing scene. Janet had passed away due to a medical condition, and her body had been left unattended for some time. The house was filled with the smell of decomposition, and the officers were confronted with a grim sight. While some of Janet's cats had survived, they had done so under extreme circumstances, and without any other source of food, they had resorted to consuming parts of her body. The surviving cats were eventually taken to a local shelter, where they received medical care and were adopted. This unfortunate incident highlights the severe consequences of having pets without a support system and underscores the importance of regular check-ins for those who live alone. Number 10. The fury of the monkeys. Monkeys are often seen as playful and fun pets, but their behavior can be unpredictable and sometimes dangerous. Naga Mohammed, a 72-year-old man from Malaysia, had a pet monkey that was supposedly his constant companion. Naga and the monkey shared a unique bond, engaging in activities like climbing coconut trees and harvesting coconuts, which was part of their daily routine. On one fateful day, Naga decided to carry out the usual coconut harvesting routine. He had promised his 29-year-old son, Mood, that he would bring some coconuts as usual. Naga lifted the monkey to the tree, expecting it to perform its usual task of collecting the coconuts. However, something went terribly wrong. The monkey, instead of working as usual, suddenly attacked Naga with a surge of aggression. In a shocking turn of events, the monkey bit Naga's arm with such force that it severed an artery. The resulting wound led to Naga's death. When Mood noticed the prolonged absence of his father and the unusual silence, he went to check. Upon discovering the horrific scene, he too became the target of the monkey's aggression, but managed to survive the attack. Neighbors were alerted to the situation and called the authorities. The monkey was later captured and taken into custody. Upon evaluation, it was decided that the monkey would be rehabilitated and reintroduced into the wild. This incident highlights the dangers that can arise from keeping monkeys as pets, even when they are seemingly tame and familiar companions. Number 11. The Puma Dilemma. Pumas, also known as mountain lions or cougars, are powerful and elusive predators. Their presence in the wild often causes concern due to their strength and hunting ability. Despite these inherent risks, some people choose to keep them as pets. Amber Michelle Couch from Texas is one of those people who took on this dangerous endeavor. In Texas, state law allows the ownership of pumas as pets, provided the owner has the necessary permits and keeps vaccinations and health exams up to date. Unfortunately, Amber did not follow these regulations. Her puma was not receiving the required vaccinations, and despite multiple warnings from friends and authorities, she continued to neglect its care. The mountain lion was kept in a cramped cage, which likely contributed to its agitated and unpredictable behavior. Tragically, the situation reached a critical point when Amber's young nephew accidentally got too close to the cage. The mountain lion, feeling threatened or agitated, attacked the child, causing severe facial injuries. The boy survived the attack but required extended hospitalization for his recovery. This incident prompted immediate intervention from authorities, who confiscated the mountain lion and issued several fines against Amber for her negligence. Among the consequences, Amber was prohibited from owning pets without demonstrating proper care and adherence to legal standards. The mountain lion was eventually euthanized to ensure the safety of others. This case highlights the serious risks associated with keeping wild animals as pets, especially when proper care and confinement are not maintained. Number 12. The Wapiti incident. The Wapiti, a rare hybrid between a red deer and an elk, is an exotic animal that can be quite appealing to wildlife enthusiasts due to its rarity. This was certainly the case for Pat McDonald, an Australian who kept a Wapiti in an enclosure on his property. However, the appeal of owning such a unique creature turned out to be dangerously misguided. On a routine day, McDonald was feeding the Wapiti while his wife and teenage son were inside the house. Suddenly, they heard McDonald scream, realizing that something was wrong. His family rushed outside and found McDonald being attacked by the Wapiti. In a frantic attempt to save her husband, McDonald's wife, Mandy, entered the enclosure, but was also attacked by the aggressive animal. Their son, Ethan, ran back to the house to call the police, while Mandy tried to defend herself with whatever she had on hand. The situation was critical, but luck was on their side as a nearby rescuer intervened in time. The police arrived and had to calm the Wapiti in order to safely rescue Mandy. She was then taken to a nearby hospital, but had to be airlifted to a more equipped facility due to the severity of her injuries. Experts believe the aggressive behavior of the Wapiti may have been triggered by hormonal changes or a perceived threat from its owner. This incident serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of wild animals, even those raised in captivity, and the inherent risks of keeping exotic animals as pets. Number 13. The deer attack. Many of us associate deer with a peaceful and gentle image, often portrayed in children's stories and films. However, deer, especially in their more aggressive forms, can exhibit dangerous behaviors. Gerald Russian, a deer enthusiast, experienced this harsh reality. Russian kept several deer on his property, including European red deer, known for their impressive antlers and powerful build. Despite their majestic appearance, these deer can become aggressive, especially during certain times of the year. On a fateful day, Russian entered the deer enclosure to feed them, unintentionally startling them. The 230-kilogram red deer, agitated by Russian's sudden appearance, charged at him. The deer's powerful body knocked Russian down, sending him falling backward. The deer then attacked him with its sharp antlers, pinning Russian against the fence. The violence of the attack escalated as the deer began to stomp on Russian, causing severe injuries. Emergency services arrived quickly, but were prevented from helping due to the aggressiveness of the animal. Authorities made the difficult decision to euthanize the deer so that rescuers could reach Russian. Unfortunately, by the time help finally arrived, Russian had already succumbed to his injuries. Number 14. The deadly cassowary. The cassowary is often considered the most dangerous bird in the world, a reputation well earned due to its aggressive nature and formidable physical traits. Native to northern Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands, this flightless bird is known for its powerful legs and razor-sharp claws, making it a feared creature even among wildlife experts. Marvin Hajos, a 75-year-old Texan with a deep passion for exotic birds, found himself at the center of a tragic incident involving one of these birds. Hajos was an experienced breeder who had successfully raised ostriches, emus, and cassowaries, becoming the first in the U.S. to achieve such a feat. Despite his extensive experience, A tragic accident resulted in his death. One day, while observing his cassowaries, Hajos stumbled and fell. The sudden movement startled one of the large birds, which perceived Hajos as a threat. In an aggressive attack, the cassowary used its powerful claws to inflict severe injuries. Realizing the severity of the situation, Hajos managed to call 911 in a desperate plea for help. The call was harrowing, capturing his fear and urgency as he begged for an ambulance. Rescue teams faced significant difficulty reaching Hajos due to the bird's aggressive behavior, which continued to obstruct their efforts. After several tense minutes, they managed to secure the area and transport Hajos to the hospital. Unfortunately, his injuries were fatal, and he did not survive. Number 15. The Wildebeest Tragedy. You may remember the dramatic scene of a wildebeest stampede in The Lion King, which highlighted the impressive yet chaotic nature of these animals. In reality, wildebeests can be just as formidable and aggressive, as tragically demonstrated in a case involving a pet wildebeest. Klaus de Renda, a passionate animal lover, decided to raise a young wildebeest alongside other exotic animals such as llamas, emus, reindeer, and ostriches. This was not an unusual choice for Klaus, who had a history of caring for various wild animals. Like many growing animals, the wildebeest occasionally displayed bursts of hyperactivity, which Klaus dismissed as typical behavior. However, the animal's excitability seemed to increase with maturity, and Klaus even facilitated breeding by introducing a female companion. The pair successfully produced a calf, further strengthening Klaus's attachment to them. On December 5, 2004, Klaus went to the barn where the wildebeests were kept. His wife grew concerned when he hadn't returned home by noon. At first, she assumed he was out handling chores or personal errands. But her worry increased when he missed lunch and failed to answer his phone. Upon checking the barn, she discovered a horrific scene. Klaus was lying on the ground, gravely injured and unconscious. Emergency services were called, but despite their efforts, Klaus succumbed to his injuries. The subsequent investigation revealed that Klaus's death resulted from a tragic and dangerous encounter with his pet wildebeest. The animal, likely agitated due to mating season, had reacted violently when Klaus unintentionally provoked it. During the attack, the wildebeest repeatedly charged Klaus, striking his chest and head. This tragic incident highlights the potential dangers of keeping wild animals as pets. Wildebeests, with their powerful build and unpredictable nature, are not suited for domestic environments. Number 16. The monitor lizard tragedy. When it comes to keeping exotic animals as pets, some choices are far riskier than others. Ronald Huff, a reptile enthusiast, had a particular fascination with monitor lizards. Known for their impressive size and formidable claws, these lizards rank among the most dangerous reptiles in their natural habitats. They can hunt and overpower much larger prey, including kangaroos. Their venomous bites and sharp claws pose a serious threat, making them rarely kept as pets due to these dangers. Ronald's fascination with these reptiles, despite the risks, led him to keep several monitor lizards in his home. His choice raised skepticism and concern among friends and family. For some time, Ronald fell out of contact with his loved ones, which was unusual and raised alarms. A concerned neighbor eventually requested a welfare check from the local sheriff's department. When authorities arrived at Ronald's residence, they initially faced difficulties. They knocked on the door but received no response, despite hearing noises from inside. The door seemed jammed, forcing the officers to break it open. What they found inside was both tragic and disturbing. Ronald Huff was found collapsed against the door, having died under distressing circumstances. The most shocking part of the scene was the presence of his monitor lizards. 7 of these dangerous reptiles were discovered crawling over Ronald's lifeless body, feeding on him. This horrifying discovery deeply unsettled the responding officers. The investigation into Ronald's death revealed that he had likely fallen seriously ill while attempting to seek help. One of his monitor lizards attacked him, leading to a fatal outcome. This incident serves as a grim reminder of the inherent risks in keeping such dangerous animals as pets. Monitor lizards, with their potent combination of aggression and venom, pose serious threats not only to their owners, but also to those around them. Number 17. Danger with the python. In another disturbing case involving exotic animals, Jaron Hare and Charles Darnell from the United States faced a devastating situation with their pet Burmese python. Burmese pythons are large, non-venomous constrictor snakes capable of growing to impressive lengths. Though not venomous, they can still cause serious harm, especially when not properly contained. The couple's python, a 2.4-meter, 8-foot albino Burmese python, was kept in an improvised enclosure covered with a comforter and secured with safety pins. This inadequate setup allowed the python to escape. The situation was worsened by the couple's negligence and their use of various medications and stimulants, which impaired their ability to supervise and care for the animal properly. In the early hours of a tragic night in 2009, the python escaped its enclosure and entered the bedroom of the couple's young daughter. Tragically, the snake attacked the child, resulting in her death. The horrifying discovery was made the next morning when Darnell found both the snake and the child in the bedroom. Overcome with grief and rage, Darnell struck the snake and called emergency services. Unfortunately, authorities were unable to save the child. Following the incident, the Burmese python was relocated to an Air Force base, where it was reportedly used in training exercises. Both Hare and Darnell faced legal consequences for their negligence, with their actions deemed extremely irresponsible. They were sentenced to prison, and the case highlighted the severe risks associated with keeping large, potentially dangerous reptiles in inadequate conditions. Number 18. The deadly reptile. When it comes to owning pets, few choices are as risky as keeping venomous snakes. Black mambas are known for their potent venom and aggressive nature. As one of the most dangerous snakes on the planet, they pose a significant challenge even for experienced herpetologists. A black mamba's venom can cause death within hours if left untreated, making it an extremely dangerous choice as a pet. Alita Stacy, from Putnam Lake, New York, had a deep fascination with snakes, which led her to accumulate a collection of over 70 reptiles. Among them was a black mamba, a species notorious for its aggression and deadly bite. Despite warnings and concerns from those around her, Stacy maintained a close relationship with her snakes. The danger was all too real, as became evident in the tragic events that followed. One day, Stacy's boyfriend found her unconscious at home. The black mamba had managed to escape its enclosure due to a poorly secured lock. In a horrific turn of events, the snake had bitten Stacy on the forearm. Given the highly toxic and fast-acting nature of black mamba venom, survival chances were minimal. Despite swift medical intervention, Stacy's death was inevitable due to the venom's potency. This tragic incident highlights the extreme risk associated with keeping highly venomous snakes as pets. The black mamba's attack serves as a clear reminder that even seemingly secure cages can fail, and how quickly a situation can turn fatal. While some may find the idea of owning exotic animals irresistible, it is crucial to understand the dangers and responsibilities involved in caring for them. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked our content, please subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting content that is appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time.